Evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of a brand new season. This is season 65 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. It's a brand new season, it's a clean slate, it's a brand new mod, and we're ready to go racing here in the opener, 66 laps at the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway. I'm Seth Cole, joined by Kyle Matthews, Michael Norman, and guys, brand new mod, so maybe a period of adaptation, but big opportunity here as well. Seems like every time we have the season opener, we talk to the drivers, they all say one thing: we treat this as must win, because hey, if you win, you're locked into the playoffs for the rest of the regular season. If you wreck, well, you still got 8 more races to be able to gain back those points you lost.
It's crazy that they have that mentality at the very start of the season, but yeah, it's true. You win, you really have nothing to worry about for the rest of the season until the playoffs come around here. So yeah, everyone's eyeing the checkered flag tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see who's going to come out with the win in the first round. I mean, remember last year, first race, I don't want to say last year, but like maybe it was seasons ago, Brian Schilling with the ultimate pit strategy, winning the first race of the season. We'll see if maybe we can have something else like that happen this season.
Well, going back to last season, the defending champion of that year was Tim Nofsker. What'd he do? He went out, won the first race, and put himself in the conversation to maybe be a back-to-back champion. Grant Wesley comes into season 65 as the defending champ. We'll see if maybe he can get that first checkered flag of the brand new season. We mentioned about the brand new mod. That's right. Last couple seasons, we've had the historic Aero 88 cars out on track, and there was some growing pains in the debut season for the mod. We've now moved over to the Xfinity cars out of the year 2020, and while this mod has been run in the past, it was run during Speed Freaks. That was a mini super speedway series. These drivers have not regularly on Thursday nights run with these Xfinity machines. A lot of drivers showed up early. We're practicing, pushing, and drafting with these machines, and we'll have to see if we've kind of gotten through that period of adaptation, if the comfort level is going to rise or not as soon as the green flag drops. We've got 41 drivers taking the green in tonight's opener, with Dante Ricky on the pole position. Denny Carroll will line up to his outside. Jeffrey Elliott and Chuck McClure will be back in row 2. Mike Mangialardi, Bernie Mobbs, row 3. Row 4 finds Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
First one of season 65. There you go. He's got Greg Palmer with him, Jessica Shelton, and Greg Lovell. They'll be the completion of the top 10. Donnie Garrett, he was in the Final Four for the championship last season. Will be alongside of Bobby Farrell in row 6. Row 7, Jeremy Jeffries and Rodney Sullins. In row 8, Tim Nofsker and Bob Dixon. Josh Metallic and Brian Lovell, they're back in row 9. Top 20 complete with Brian Schilling and Donnie Cameron making his debut in the series here tonight. Row 11, it's Robert Breedlove and Terry Bombard. Row 12, Ulysses Sandoval and Kelly Causey. Sean Prime going to run full-time this season. He's back in row 13 with the defending champion Grant Wesley. Row 14, Ken Roberts, Mark Paglia. Bob Seminaire, Glenn Harris, they're the top 30. Dunn LaPrade, Richard Martin, back in row 16. Row 17, Graham McDonald, Chris Elliott. Row 18, Billy Ellis or John Godfrey. Joe DeSpirito, multi-time champion, back in row 19 with Jason Scheck. Then Brian Rawson, Cy Jones, and Javier Negron make up the 41 cars that have just gone green here in tonight's season opener.
Dunn LaPrade here?
Yes, he is.
For some reason I feel like I didn't hear his name being called.
All 4 of our championship competitors in the final round last season in the field tonight. Grant Wesley, Donnie Garrett, Dunn LaPrade, and Josh Metallic. Will they be the final 4 here at the conclusion of this season? A lot of other drivers are saying, no, it's my turn.
What are they saying? Nana!
That would be an extremely difficult feat to happen, like have the same exact Final Four 2 seasons in a row. It'd be something, though, if they could pull that off.
Absolutely would. Who's going to lead lap 1? Denny Carroll. Chevrolet Alliance on the top. Going to get him the bonus point. First one of the season. He'll lead lap number 1 here tonight.
Dante Ricky hanging tough on the bottom there. He's got help coming there from the 56.
Looks like we had 40 drivers take the green flag here. Some drivers were having some connection problems at the start of gridding up. Doug Hewlick, we understand, was having problems and did not start this race. Bob Dixon dropped to the back with a voluntary EOL due to having a high ping. And there's another driver that I'm still trying to identify here that did not take the green flag. We'll try and figure out who that driver is here in just a moment. It would have been one of the drivers that I did read off on the starting grid.
Already got 3 lines going.
Yeah, forget the period of adaptation,
Oh,
right? Oh, boy. Big save there by Greg Palmer. And now we're going to be 4 wide as we all try to settle this out. I think that was Chuck McClure, maybe, and Greg Palmer might have bumper grabbed each other. There might have been a driver on the inside that pushed up. But to your point, Kyle, 3 wide here in the early going. I guess the period of adaptation, I guess we're not going to see it here. I guess the comfort has settled in already.
Yeah, that's something else to to keep in mind. This is a whole completely different mod. These cars drive differently. We talk about the different hit boxes that these cars will have. They're going to be still figuring that out here in this race and probably the next couple of races, just trying to get used to everything.
Watching the first side-by-side battle here around the 8th position. Donnie Garrett, multi-time winner last season, battled for the championship, came up just 2 points short on Grant Wesley to claim his first championship here in the series, looking to ride the momentum he had back in season 64 here into 65. Outside line forming. It's going to be a few Chevrolets up there, led by Chuck McClure, 21 of Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Jessica Shelton up there, along with Bernie Mobbs, Robert Breedlove, Jeremy Jeffries all back there as well.
Is that a Jeff Gordon Pepsi throwback that she's driving?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
That's
it is.
Throwback to the race that he won in 2005. I believe that was a Star Wars paint scheme.
Star Wars 2005 scheme that he stole from Dale Jr. that year.
That he dominated that race with, and the Force was definitely with him that day.
No, sorry, that was thinking 2004, not 2005.
There's a number of nice-looking throwbacks in this field as well. Garrett, of course, rolling over the Ernie Irvin scheme that he drove with the Aero 88 cars last season over to these Xfinity cars. There's back there somewhere a Jamie McMurray throwback that Billy Elliser is running that Kyle was drooling over during practice.
And I've always liked them.
And by drooling, we mean really drooling.
I've always liked the Crown Royal cars that Jamie McMurray had back in his days over at Roush Racing. Chuck McClure has led that outside line almost even with Denny Carroll. Now we have a third line forming on the outside.
So I think it's confirmed that the other car scheme that we don't have is Ulysses, right?
Yes, so just, to explain, as you alluded to that there are 2 cars that we do not have here tonight. One that is a Toyota, one that is a Chevrolet. The Chevrolet that is going to be a generic blue the course of this evening is Brian Lovell in the 044. The Toyota that you see up there, last car on that outside line, that is Ulysses Sandoval. Big thanks to Rodney Sullins. He was helping get me all the cars that I was missing. There were about a good half dozen of them. We got most of them. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get all of them. We'll hopefully have that all sorted out by time these drivers get geared up for Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway next week.
Oh, boy.
And boy, Greg Palmer keeps getting run out of room. That's the second time that he's nearly gone up to the outside wall as Chuck McClure pushed up in that middle line and Palmer paid the price. Caution's actually out.
Say, didn't those two nearly get together a couple of laps
Oh
ago?
yeah, look at the gap back there.
Something happened around mid-pack, and
yeah, something did.
81, 143 to 28.
Graham McDonald in the 33.
Love that Neil Bonnet throwback right there.
Billy
I do too.
Elliser. There's that Jamie McMurray throwback we were talking about. He might have been involved. Donnie Cameron making his debut. We saw him run in the All-Star Open on the Super Speedway side last week.
Driving that Joe Nemechek number.
Yes, indeed. Jolt Cola. I've never heard of Jolt Cola. I don't know if that's an actual thing or if that's a fantasy sponsor.
Doesn't sound safe to drink.
That is true. Well, didn't Mountain Dew actually have a flavor that had something to do with lightning? That doesn't sound safe either. Let's go back, see if we can find out what exactly happened here. Brings out the first caution of the night on lap number 7. And it may have actually started around our defending champ.
I don't know how we didn't see this. This was near mid. Oh,
Big checkup. Massive checkup there in that middle line.
Oh, there's our first
somebody
flip.
already upside down.
It's
There's our
Brian
first flip
Rawson.
of the season. That's a nice Mark Martin throwback.
Take another look at it here. Focused on the 6 of Brian Rawson, and watch up ahead of him, that middle line. They just all start stacking up. And unfortunately, when you're that 5th, 6th, 7th car back there, message just doesn't get to you quick enough to lift.
Rawson's car able to get back on its, all 4 wheels there. Not sure how much damage he has from that.
Pretty big hit for the 33 of Graham McDonald as well. Watch this, as I believe he's going to get squeezed up into the outside wall here. Right there, that Mark Paglia slides up into him. Chris Elliott, Jason Scheck, Donnie Cameron. So Scheck and Cameron make some contact, but not much. I think they're okay. There's Bob Dixon. The connection issues just comes to a stop. So does Cy Jones.
That 33 car, is that a Mopar sponsorship on a Toyota?
It is.
Ugh.
I know. Kyle is a Casey Kane fan, and if Mopar is on anything but a Dodge, he is triggered.
Yeah, I mean,
This is on board with Sean Prime, going to run full-time this season. A little bump to the back there of Brian Schilling. Almost kind of helped him through the wreck in a sense. Oh, and hello!
Oh, I was just told that there was a wreck on pit road.
See if we can find that as well. One thing that we will have to kind of get used to this season is the fact that there is the new EXE. We talked about this during the All-Star Week, where they're able to shorten the length of a caution period, so we don't have quite as much time to be able to check out all the replays and everything. Oh, this might have been the driver. No?
I was told it was the 880.
Oh, the 880. That'd be Greg Lovell. There's also contact with Ken Roberts in the 55. Ah, yep, there it is. Like he may have completely overshot his pit box. Ooh, I'd be concerned about backing up that far to your pit box. Don't want to get disqualified.
Game doesn't like it when you back up that much.
No. That's about 3, well, maybe 2.5 pit stalls. This is what led to it. Yeah, Greg just completely missed his pit stall. That Buffalo Bills logo on the pit sign, that's where his stall is. And as he was getting on the brakes, he had Chuck McClure right behind him.
Looks like Jessica Shelton, and I think that was Tim Nosker that got some contact or trying to avoid the.
And we still got some drivers sitting on pit road there. Coming off of pit road right now, you see the lights out on the Chevrolet Camaro pace car. Dante Ricky, Jeffrey Elliott going to be the front row when we go back green. Lap 10 will be completed. Lap 11 will go up on the board. All 40 drivers that took the green are on the lead lap. Another thing that's going to be kind of interesting here this season is we talked about, the last couple of seasons, the Aero 88 cars, when they take a hit, the damage model is kind of deceiving. You can't really tell what kind of physical damage they really sustained, and you don't really know how up to speed they're going to be until we take the green flag. I feel like more than likely we're going to have a little bit more of a visible idea of how much damage drivers sustain in these wrecks with the Xfinity cars.
Didn't really see any damage to anybody in the wreck that we looked at, especially the 6 car that flipped over. So we'll see how he's running once we get going here.
Pace car peels off. Dante Ricky, who when he crossed the start finish line there to receive 1 to green, led his first lap of the season. Remember, he got sniped on lap 1 despite being the pole sitter by Denny Carroll. So he
All
finally
about getting that better restart, though.
Yeah. So he finally gets that bonus point at least. And he'll get ready to get us back underway here at Talladega.
TV2. Oh, someone's look like maybe
Bob.
the 143 back there.
Yeah, that's Bob Dixon on the apron. Don't know if he's still having connection issues or what.
Watch the flyby. That much better. Yeah, he's still having some connection issues. You know, if there's one thing that you don't see a lot of in this series, it's Ford. You don't see a lot of Fords in this series.
That's surprising.
Going down the list here real quickly, looks like there are 7 or 8. It looks like 8 Fords in the field.
In a pack of what? In a field of what? 40 cars?
40 cars, yep. Highest running of them right now would be Bobby Farrell. He's the 4th car in line in the middle. That white 92.
Lane. Third lane already forming, and here it comes.
It's Robert Breedlove up there on the top side. Oh, Chuck McClure!
Chuck McClure.
No caution gonna fly. I believe that was Brian Lovell, the generic Chevrolet there, that may have tagged him from behind.
And it looks like he might have hit the wall.
Bear in mind, too, incidents that don't bring out a caution, if it's deemed on you, you got to come down pit road, serve a pass-through. So if that ends up being put on the 044, and if he doesn't serve a pass-through penalty here, he ends up getting a post-race EOL.
And look who's in second place. It's the guy who finished second more times last season than anybody.
And that's a big reason why I bring that up, because Ulysses Sandoval could have very likely been in the Final Four to compete for the championship 1 season ago, but he missed out. He found himself in the round of 8 in a huge points deficit in that final elimination race because the previous race he had not done a pass-through for an incident that happened under green. So, you know, I know it's only race 1, but points are so important.
You watch tonight. You watch. Ulysses is going to win this race tonight. We're not even going to be able to see
It's going to be the
car.
generic car.
He's going to go thank his sponsors, and we're going to be like, who?
Look, I mean, no decal, no wrap. It's lighter, right? It means it's faster. Question is, does it then pass post-race tech? Terry Bombard up on that top side.
When these cars get 3 wide like this, the inside lane usually is the more preferred lane. But yeah, look at the 8 car up there too.
Oh, we're fanning out back here with Josh Metallic and Joe DeSpirito. Don't know what was happening there.
Oh, I saw that tank get a little sideways.
There's one of your Fords. Kyle, it's a Chase Elliott scheme on a Ford.
You know, there's one thing I gotta say. If you're gonna be an 09, at least put the O somewhere on that car.
Okay, calm down there,
I
Mr.
agree.
Tuesday Nights.
Yes,
I
but
mean,
the O,
I could
the O
handle-
was still on my car.
I can handle a Chase Elliott scheme on a Ford, but what I can't handle is a Mopar scheme on a Toyota.
On a Toyota.
Not only am I a Casey Kane fan, I'm also a big Dodge guy. So
Who's
come
that
on,
just coming off the pit road? Is that the 17?
That was
Chuck
the
McClure, yeah.
029, Mike Mangialardi.
Oh, okay. I guess not.
New leader.
Unscheduled pit stop there for Mike. Not sure what was going on there. I almost wonder maybe if he was the one that might have tagged Chuck McClure, might have done a pass-through right there.
So do we know the fuel mileage for this? Is it
Same as it always was.
Same as
CTS
Arrow?
physics, so still the 19 to 21 laps.
Okay.
I know from what I've been hearing, these cars definitely handle a lot differently than the Aero 88 cars that we're so used to seeing. And the cars are wanting to push up a lot more.
And, as well, obviously, I talked about this, I think it was back in the finale last season, kind of in terms of the space taken up for the hitbox. The Aero 88 cars and these Xfinity cars kind of similar. So at least that's one thing that they can kind of lean back on in terms of in the previous seasons, knowing, when they can push and when they can't, door banging, all that kind of stuff. But to your point as well, Kyle, a little bit different in the characteristics and how they approach not only being in the draft, but off of that corner. We know turn 2, especially on that inside line, cars want to push up, half groove, sometimes a full groove, depending on how much tire heat you've built up in that right front. So interesting point of note, when I was looking at the schedule here for this season, last year, we started out the season at Talladega, and Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway was where everything pretty much happened in pertaining to the chase and the eventual champion. We had our elimination races at BSR, we had our regular season finale at BSR, and we ultimately had our season finale at BSR. So I thought we were going to flip-flop, and our debut race with these Xfinity cars were going to be at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway tonight. As you can see, we're at Talladega. The reason for that? Last season, we had an off week in the middle of the regular season, which gave us 8 regular season races and 6 playoff races. This season, we're running 9 regular season races and 6 playoff races, which means not only is Talladega going to be the venue here tonight for the season opener, but it's also going to be where the elimination races are all going to take place and the championship will be decided at the conclusion of season 65. So that extra week added in makes Talladega be the bookend track, if you will, for the entirety of this season.
Oh, so we're having an extra weekend?
Yep.
I think that's going to help everybody out, where they know what races they have to really focus on, at least in terms of when the playoffs come around. They know they got to focus on Talladega. That's for the like you mentioned, that those are going to be the cutoff races and the championship race. So instead of going back and forth between that and BSR.
Imagine being nicknamed Cheeseburger and not submitting your scheme.
Right, anyway.
Thank you for the awkward silence.
You're welcome. Well, we've seen drivers with throwbacks. Here's one that does not pertain to a stock car. How about an open wheel throwback here with Josh Metallic throwing it back to Pato O'Ward. His number 5 machine out of, shoot, I just had the team name and I just lost it. McLaren. No, not McLaren. Is it McLaren?
Great job, Seth. Absolutely great.
I don't remember.
For
Someone help. What are the orange cars?
I don't know.
Gosh.
I wish I could tell you.
Why don't we go to our chat and find out?
Yeah, somebody yell at me. Is it McLaren? I feel like it is, but I might be wrong. We saw Graham McDonald get caught up in that first wreck, and he has taken his car back behind the wall. Damage too great for him to be able to continue up to speed. A driver that I did notice that is still in this lead pack was a driver that was up and over on his roof, Brian Rawson. That car looks like it's still good to go.
Wow, that's impressive. I mean, it was able to flip itself back over, so...
I don't see any visible roof damage either, which you would normally think if a... Oh, Jeffrey Elliott! Up into the outside wall! I think he might have clipped Tim Nofsker. Yeah, the caution is out. I was going to say, I couldn't see any caution lights, and our indicator was not showing if the yellow was out yet or not.
This is a good break for... Was it the 29 or the 17? They were just catching somebody there.
It was the 17. I think he was actually ahead.
Ulysses let the 17 ahead of him, yeah.
Well, I think the 17 was already ahead of him when the caution flew.
He was in the process of passing him. They're racing back.
No, we're frozen field, though.
Oh, okay.
So Ulysses will bring them back around here. Third of the way through this race. Second caution will fly. We almost caught it live there. And it almost looked like maybe a little bit of warp, maybe a little bit of hitbox. It didn't look like initially like there was physical contact there, but take a look and see. This is also going to be a big break for Mike Mangialardi, with McClure not going a lap down. Mangialardi will be the only driver -1, so he would be in the position to receive the free pass. See what happens here.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no contact there. So somebody, we may not have seen it, somebody must have warped just a little bit, either the 880 or the 56.
It looked like an AI car wrecking in a console game or something, where they just suddenly spin out for no reason. And
He hit one of those patches on the track where there's
Yeah, I
absolutely no
guess.
grip.
I think he just bottomed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just weird.
like a tire blew out or something, but there's no way that could have happened.
Tim Nofsker getting a slight piece in the silver Nationwide machine. Dale Jr. throwback. Take one more look and watch the 143 of Bob Dixon when he comes into view here, warping, and I believe that car right there kind of popped a little bit of a wheelie getting into the side of Donnie Cameron as they were making their way by.
It looked like the 88 car kind of shot up just a little bit. Could there been like a little bit of a net code issue there or something?
Maybe. Let's see if we can go on board with Grant, see if we can see maybe any kind of a shimmy out of his car or out of the car in front of him of Greg Lovell.
No, maybe not. I didn't see it there, but
It's hard to tell as they were going through
who's
the
that
corner.
in front of
maybe.
Wesley?
Yeah, that's Greg Lovell.
Maybe there was a net code issue with those two. I don't know. That was just
There might have been a little bit of a shimmy there out of Greg.
that's just a weird looking wreck.
It was. So caution out. Looks like Kelly Causey's going to stay out to lead a lap here along with Brian Ross and a few others. Dante Ricky just came down pit road and won the battle off with that #1 pit stall. So looks like once everything cycles, he'll be getting us back under green. Chuck McClure just came down, repaired his damage. It looked like, fortunately for Chuck, it looks like the damage was more to the back of the race car. That back bumper was kind of pushed in a U shape. And they've been able to pretty much repair that good as new. Only one driver out of the race at this point in time, and with Mangialardi in the free pass, our 39 remaining drivers will be on the lead lap when we go back green. We'll touch more on this next week, folks, but want to remind everybody that races 3 and 4 of this season will unfortunately not be broadcasted here on FRN. We will be bringing you coverage of race 2 next week. We'll be off for 2 weeks, and then we'll be back for race number 5 midway through the regular season.
Well, we might be off for 2 weeks. I don't know. Maybe me and Kyle will take it over.
I mean, we could. I don't see why not.
We'll have to run through some setup stuff, but hey,
No,
maybe.
I mean, we just won't have a fancy ticker.
But that's the only reason everyone tunes in, is for the fancy
it, though?
ticker. Yeah.
Is it? Is it
It ain't
really?
for us?
No, everybody just tunes in to watch the ticker. You know, there might be people that tune in, have us on mute. They just watch the ticker, and that's it.
Well, I mean, it would make sense because, commentary, right? Who needs it? Maybe we'll just broadcast the race commentary list. At least it'll still be shown on YouTube.
That is true.
I've done that before in my offline series.
It's gonna make for an awkward post race interview though.
That'll be the only time we talk. Nah, but I've done that before in offline series at the road courses when it's just boring racing. I just let music play in the background. Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll get non-copyrighted music to just play in the background for the races that you're not here.
Cody just chimed in our chat. He's only here for the ticker.
What, Cody Lamas?
Yep.
Like
Also, I was right. It is a McLaren car. Pato O'Ward does drive for McLaren, so I did get that right.
Okay, who told you that one?
Milt Surratt. So
Gotcha.
at some point, we're going to have the Who You Got Surratt segment of this race.
Yep. Ask him now. It's early.
He doesn't give us his pick until like 15 to go.
I was just informed that the 43 Richard Martin does not have third gear.
Oh boy.
So yeah, this restart could be tense for some people.
And he is starting in the 16th position outside of row 8. You see him back there
Maybe
just
he'll be
behind
nice.
Brian Schilling.
Maybe he'll be nice and just pull up to the outside and not pull a Kevin Harvick.
Got Al Sullins in our chat as well. Also, Mill says he's got peppered beef jerky and chili cheese Fritos. Wow.
I just want chili.
I want Wawa.
Wawa is out in front right now.
It is.
No, our buddy Dylan Young would approve of that paint scheme.
Would he approve it on a Toyota is the question. I know he's a Ford guy, but I don't know. Does he have any aversion to Toyotas?
My
If it's
immersion.
Wawa, does it have to be on a Ford?
Not sure on that one.
Sandoval going to move into second. Denny Carroll into third. Battle going to be on for fourth. Donnie Garrett and Rodney Sullins.
Couldn't tell if that was the 41 peeking to the outside or if that was just
Whoa!
a car. Oh!
Bernie Mobbs. Oh, something's gone wrong with the 31. I think he might have
blow
blown up. Oh, and we're wrecking behind him now. Oh, man. Chuck McClure around.
31.
Billy Elliser.
31 engine failure.
Yep. And we got
Kelly.
a car flipping back there. It's Kelly Causey.
That's 2 flipping now.
Yeah, that 31 was dropping like a rock. You could tell something was definitely amiss. And it was in one of the worst places, too. They're going through the tri-oval.
I didn't see any smoke.
I didn't either.
Did you remember to turn your immersion smoke back on?
I always have smoke turned on. Even with online racing, I still have smoke turned on.
Well, maybe it's not terminal problem. Maybe it's a mechanical issue.
Could be.
I don't know. It doesn't look good right now.
Well, there are some times, too, where the engine will go and smoke doesn't necessarily come out of the back of the race car.
I mean, I had an engine let go one time exiting pit road.
This is such a horrible place for Bernie Mobbs to have the engine failure, not just for the drivers around him, but for him himself, and he did exactly what he needed to do.
He was running into 7th position last time by, and yeah, everyone scattered to avoid him.
He holds his line, lets everybody else try and get around him here, and unfortunately, we stacked up about 3, 4, 5 wide behind him. But that's all you can do, especially if you're in that outside line.
Kelly
Where do you go?
Causey. Look at Kelly Causey. Flip was a really weird-looking flip.
We call that a grip flip. See if we can find the 00. Spinning out hard on the brakes, and when that car is 90 degrees the wrong way, sometimes gravity takes over. Right there it catches. Chuck McClure in this, Billy Elliser. I believe that Tim Nofsker, Donnie Cameron all got bits and pieces.
Yeah, 31 is saying the engine just died on him. I mean, yeah, we don't see any smoke, but still it'll be interesting to see what it says in the results.
Sean Prime got squeezed up into the wall. Bob Dixon might have gotten a little bit of it.
I think I saw the 43 get into somebody as everybody was checking up. Like the 26 probably.
Yeah, right there, I think Glenn was trying to move up to the outside of Bernie, and Donnie Cameron was to his right rear.
Honestly, that wreck could have been a whole lot bigger.
It could have.
Started.
I mean, that was back maybe around 25th place where that wreck started. Could have easily happened up inside of the top 10. Jason Scheck has retired out of the race in 39th. Bernie Mobbs will get credit for 38th. Engine clutch, the reason for the retiring.
Huh.
I've seen that before in offline. I don't think I've ever seen that before in online racing. That's a new one.
You talk about clutch issues.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah. And that could maybe account for the fact why we didn't see smoke coming out from underneath that car. Normally that'd be like a piston problem or something if we saw smoke.
That's the first I've heard of that reason.
So working our third caution of the evening here. About 5 laps away from halfway in the season opener. 3 drivers out of the race. 37 drivers remain. No need for lucky dogs here under this caution. Everybody was on the lead lap at the time. Want to remind everybody that next Thursday night, Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway is where these Xfinity cars will be at. And it'll be interesting to see, too, obviously 2 entirely different characteristics for those super speedways, and we would see the period of adjustment with the Air 88 cars at Dega and at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Getting this race under their belts here tonight, is that going to help them in their approach to next week's venue, or do we kind of do it all over again where we go into the learning game for maybe the first quarter, first third of that race, and then start to have the comfort level rise up a little bit as we draw closer to the end? Because obviously, and drivers have alluded to this as well, in order to make that middle and outside line work when you're in 3 wide, you have to be willing to shove. You can't just keep the draft tight. You actually have to push the driver in front of you. And have we figured out the hit boxes for these cars here at Talladega as far as lining up that front bumper to the back bumper to have that really tight shove with 3, 4, 5 cars in line?
I think just given the fact that this is a new mod and going to in racing at BSR for the first time next week, I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning game. Just given that reason,
I don't necessarily
2 different.
So sorry, Carl. I thought you were done.
Two different tracks. They race a little bit differently. I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning game at the start.
I don't think it'll necessarily be like 2013 Daytona 500 type of learning, but we'll definitely see some exciting racing with it. But yeah, like you said, even right now, trying to relearn hit boxes and everything when it comes to new mods. We saw this right when they went back to using the Aero 88 mod.
Well, next week it will be a full week of racing here on FRN. Not only will you see these Tally Challenge drivers at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, but next Monday night, myself, Sean Prime, going to be bringing you coverage of the second race of the season, Season 65 of the Bare Bones Racing Series, short track racing at North Wilkesboro. And on Wednesday night, myself and Scott Rankin going to be covering the Grind Cup Series Throwback Week, as they will be at the track Too Tough to Tame Darlington Raceway. So some interesting historical racetracks on tap next week here on FRN. Denny Carroll, the Crown Royal Chevrolet, going to bring us down here. He's led the most laps so far tonight, 11 circuits out in front, and he'll get us back under the green for our third restart of the night.
Looks like Rodney Solon's got a little bit better restart. They're on that outside help from Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
There we go. And the 088 of Tim Nosker. But Carroll fighting back on the bottom. He might get the lead on the as they head to the backstretch.
Great side-by-side racing. So we see that the setup with these cars kind of keep it a little bit more side-by-side. The inside lane has just a little bit more. Ooh, the 41 drifted up just a little bit there.
Believe the top 6 drivers did not come to pit road here under this caution period. So they will be a little bit shorter on fuel than the rest of the others around them should we get into a long enough green flag run where pit stops will have to be made. Kind of keep that in mind for those drivers as Randy Waugh,
Oh boy.
high, wide, and handsome, sees that third line coming, gets up in front of Dante Ricky.
Yeah, but the third lane died immediately.
Grant jumped to the bottom. Jeffries backed out. Garrett went to the middle. They're not done yet. Now Carroll clear for the lead. Greg Palmer now moving into the second position. A few seasons ago, Greg Palmer actually made his way into the playoffs, winning the season opener. It's been a while since he's been to victory lane, and up here inside of the top 5. Had an adventurous first few laps as he was almost into the wall a couple of times. Now has found the safety of the inside line. And look who's up and now battling for third, Jeffrey Elliott. We saw him go around for our second caution, and he's been able to make his way quickly back up into the top 5 as Donnie Garrett goes around.
Oh boy, yeah, that will not bring out the caution, I don't think.
Oh, and that's a big hit. Look at how the driver's side door is caved in.
He only slapped the wall with his driver's side, so he might be all right.
That's a lot of damage, though. That is some heavy visible damage on that 77.
Who else was back there behind him?
Huh?
I think there was somebody behind Donnie.
It's Mark Paglia in the 28.
Oh. Didn't he flip or something?
He didn't flip, but I think he was in that wreck with Brian Rawson, Graham McDonald, and others. So he might be nursing that car around, maybe damaged and off the pace. Cy Jones back there has lost the draft as well, the Sunoco Ford. As Greg Palmer now clear for the lead. Breedlove moves into second. Rodney Sullins into third. Couple of very patriotic cars there, red, white, and blue in second and third. Grant Wesley will not be difficult to find this season. That neon yellow Quaker State Menards
I don't think
Toyota.
That's neon yellow. I think that's just highlighter yellow.
Whatever it is, it's bright. And it was funny too because Kyle can attest to this. We were watching these drivers in practice, and Ken Roberts, who's that neon green Mountain Dew car back there, and Grant Wesley were nose to tail, and I said, hey, I'll be able to tell them apart as,
whoa, we have a stack up there. The 56 clipped the apron.
I don't know how they're keeping it together. Hey, everybody looks so unstable right now.
They'll get organized back up again. 3 wide, a little further back. Bobby Farrell in the middle. That's Javier Negron up on the top side. Another one of those, I'll adhere to your color wheel, Michael, highlighter yellow machines. It's got Menards on the side and rear of that car, but Sundrop on the hood of that Toyota. And here's a driver, Kyle, that we were talking about end of last season. You highlighted him as one to maybe watch here in season 65. The only driver that didn't make it into the playoffs that went to victory lane multiple times last season in Joe DeSpirito.
Multiple times during the playoffs, too. I think he had 3 wins last season. 2 of those came in playoff races. Yeah, I think he definitely would have been a championship contender, maybe even a championship favorite if he could have made it in. So, he's got that on his mind heading into this season.
Something I've just noticed right there, and that might be why we're seeing a number of drivers have some issues, particularly in the corners. It looks like these drivers are getting what we call the suck-up with the draft through the center of 1 and 2, the center of 3 and 4. It's bringing them right to the bumper of the car in front, and they don't want to obviously bump the car in front of them in the turns for fear of spinning them around, so they're having to check up, and that's what's causing the stack up behind in these double and 3 wide formations. Right there, DeSpirito got a big run to the back of Dante Ricky. Dante then dove to the bottom, and DeSpirito had to bail out for fear of hitting him in the right rear quarter panel. So with where we're seeing these runs generate and the driver pushing, eventually getting up to the bumper of the car that they're trying to push, that might be why we're seeing a lot of these drivers get out of shape when they're bailing out of the throttle, back into the cars getting loose, and they're having to gather it back up.
Looks like Dante Ricky has something going there on the bottom. Tim Nofsker right behind him. Denny Carroll as well. Trying to get a third line going on that outside. Jessica Shelton leading that line. She got the, I believe that's the one of Jeremy Jeffries right behind her.
Eagle One Chevrolet, indeed. Jeremy Jeffries, of course, had a very successful All-Star Race week last week when he brought home the checkered flag in the Speedway All-Star Race. Something I noticed here, and I don't know if it's because the side skirts of these Xfinity cars are lower to the ground. I don't remember seeing this with the Aero 88 cars. Watch as these drivers enter into turn 3 here. The cars bounce. There's a bump right there. You see that?
Oh, yeah.
See how those left side tires come up a bit? I don't ever remember seeing that with the Aero 88 cars.
That can't be a comfortable feeling.
It's very interesting indeed to see if that's what's causing some of these cars to either get loose in the corner, hit clipping the apron, or just drifting up a little bit.
Oh no! Breedlove's gonna get spun off the nose of Dante Ricky. Seminara's gonna get involved. Big hit, John Godfrey. Caution immediately out after Breedlove got spun from the race lead.
That looks terminal on Godfrey with the black smoke coming out of the car.
Massive hit there.
Saw the 26 was around behind them too.
The blue Chevrolet. There is Breedlove, who is going for the lead. Got a bump from Dante in the tri-oval that spun him around. There is the 26 of Billy Elliser. Bob Seminara definitely got a hit from behind from Richard Martin that sent him into the spinning 931, so at least 5 drivers collected. Big break for Donnie Garrett, who'll be able to come down, get some repairs done to the left side of that machine. He stayed on the lead lap. But caution going to fly for the 4th time here tonight, and this does not put us in the fuel window to get to the conclusion. These drivers will still find themselves about 5-6 laps short of making it on this upcoming pit stop.
This happened right at the front of the field.
And it doesn't look like much either, right? It doesn't even look like the two are even touching each other here. Very light bump right there. And this I think, falls under that category of period of adaptation. I guarantee you on Dante Ricky's end, he's not bumping the 931. But the hitbox might be just enough where it looks like you've got just enough room between your front bumper and their back bumper where it actually reads it on the sim that you're making contact. And the tri-oval is the lightest area of the racetrack for these drivers because you're not going straight, but you're not necessarily turning full left either.
I've really been on both ends of that, of having a car in front of me. My screen didn't hit him, but clearly did, and then I've been hit by somebody who said that he didn't hit me. It's just a really frustrating thing.
He must have gotten hit. Dante must have gotten hit from behind that pushed him up into the 931. Because that looked like that was just a sudden, quick turnaround.
And a big shot there from John Godfrey, who went low to avoid, and I think it was the second hit from Seminara that sent the 931's back end down into his path. I doubt that the roof camera survived. This is inside the cockpit of the 711. Watch right here, has to make a decision. Sees the car start to drift back up, so he'll go low, and then right there. That car was still running. He was able to drive it back to pit road. I'd be very surprised if he's able to get back out there. But they're trying to repair it, see what they can do. As Dante Ricky gonna come down pit road. I believe most drivers already pitted. And now Dante's going to come down here. This is interesting. Dante's had a strong car. Oh, okay, never mind. Dante's coming down second lap. He's claiming the incident. Okay. Terry
That
Bombard,
would
Kelly
explain
Causey,
it,
others
yeah.
coming down here as well. That's why I was kind of confused why Dante, who has been up front most of this race, has led 8 laps, why he would be coming to pit road. I thought maybe it was a fuel play, but no, he's claiming the incident and coming down the second lap of caution. So that turns the race lead over now to the defending champion, Grant Wesley. Oh, what's going on back there? That was close.
Bit of a stack up there, it looked
Yeah.
like.
Jeffrey Elliott got in the back
The
of Randy Waugh.
reigning, defending, undisputed champion.
That's Paul Heyman now
Yep, he represents.
now the advocate for Grant Wesley. Man, that's impressive.
That's what they should do. They should all fight for a title belt.
I agree.
Change games completely.
Every week, they put the title on the line. The winner holds the winner of the race holds the title for a week. Whoever ends up winning the championship at the end of the season gets the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal trophy.
Not a bad idea.
Jessica Shelton's going to line up to the outside of Grant here, highest that she's run so far tonight. Greg Palmer and Rodney Sullivan's going to be back there in row 2, and take a look who's now up in the 5th position. We saw him spin around by himself on the back straightaway, had back end damage. Chuck McClure, nice repair job there for the Jack Daniels Gentleman Jack Chevrolet Camaro team. He's now back up in the hunt, inside of the top 5.
It's a really nice recovery right there. I guess he got all the damage repaired, any damage that he had, so.
Guys, guess what? It's still out there.
Wow.
Really?
I just checked my score and I saw him still on the lead lap, and
I told you, not all black smoke is terminal.
no, I guess not. I thought, especially with the hit and getting airborne, that his night was over, but hey.
Oh, he's gonna be drastically off the pace.
Yeah, but if, for John Godfrey, we talk about every point mattering. If this turns into a race of attrition here down the home stretch, he could maybe pick up a couple more spots, which means a couple more points, which could be very important when we get to that regular season finale.
Grant Wesley gets a good restart.
Jumps up to that middle line. We normally see that there with the race leader. Looks like Paglia is indeed off the pace. He's dropped to the apron, letting drivers on by there on the backstretch. Gonna have to remember when we interview our top 3 to ask one of them about that kind of jump that we see the left side of the car do when they go into turn 3, that bump there, if they feel that more in these cars than the Air 88 cars, because at least visibly we see it a lot more here with the Xfinity cars. I don't know if that's a case of bottoming out with that left side skirt hitting or not. You don't see it quite as much there in 1. Maybe a little bit of a bump where you see the rear end suspension take a bit of a bounce, but not nearly as volatile a jump as you see them over in the entrance of turn 3.
So if we got a third line going here, Jeremy Jeffrey's going to lead that one.
It's Brian Lovell behind him.
I'm glad you could tell these plane cars out, because I sure can't.
Chevy is Brian, the Toyota is Ulysses, and right now, Josh Metallic is bookended by the generic cars.
That's what I've been looking for, is the front end of their cars to see who's a Chevy and who's not.
Sean Prime up on that outside line as well. Javier Negron. Driver that we've not mentioned really at all tonight. You alluded to him earlier, Michael, and what he was able to do in a former season opener on Fuel Strategy. Brian Schilling down there on the inside line in the Habana Busa Chevrolet. That, of course, is a car that livery ended up running in the Xfinity Series. I believe it was Bailey Curry for JD Motorsports, painted by Rodney Sullins. It is a Harvick 4 on that Chevrolet, however, so it's not 100% accurate. It's not the JD Motorsports number 4, but it's fast nonetheless. Oh, car up the track. Oh, Grant's going to go around. And a massive pileup. Oh, gracious. This is the big one.
That's a lot of cars.
Seminara's up and over. I believe Terry Bombard flipped.
Looks like
Oh,
Ulysses
someone help
Sandoval.
Bob. He's going to get it. Okay.
Looks like maybe Ulysses Sandoval involved.
I don't know how much damage Grant Wesley got out of that. He was the first car to go around. Lot of damage there. The hood buckled up on the 029. I believe that's the Blackhawk Down-sponsored Toyota Supra. Glenn Harris, I believe he was involved. There's the 10 of Terry Bombard. And there's Grant Wesley. I don't believe it started with Grant. The first car I saw get out of shape was Josh Metallic. He went up and bounced off the wall, and maybe what happened with Grant and company was in reaction to that. But Grant almost had it saved, and then all the stack up behind him led to that massive pileup coming out of turn 2. So we'll go back and take a look. Looks like John Godfrey, we saw him out there trying to soldier on. It looked like he actually came to pit road just a couple laps after we went back green and retired out of the race. Alright, so Josh and Grant are actually side by side here. Oh, and Bobby Farrell pushes up into Grant. Grant gets into Josh. Goes around off the nose of Shelton and then contact with Sean Prime. He got away relatively unscathed with everything else that happened behind him. Try and find. There's the 029 Mike Mangialardi, who was up in the third lane. He took a massive hit. See if we can find out who else was in this here. Nofsker, Richard Martin, Glenn Harris, Javier Negron, Billy Elliser. There's Seminara. So 3 cars at least flipped right there. The 10, the 712, and the 26.
So
nice
that's
save
another
there.
three added to the list?
I think we're up to 6 now.
Think so.
That was a nice save there by Jessica Shelton. All that contact that went on around her. Her and the 88 got together, and she did a nice job of keeping it going.
Denny Carroll was in that vicinity as well. I believe Donnie Garrett got through that.
Just an all-around huge wreck.
4 drivers flipped in that, so bring the total up to 7. Mike Mangialardi also went up and over. Kelly Causey was back behind this. Let's see what his onboard shows us.
It's almost like a dead stop.
Yeah, so some of the smartest wreck avoidance right there. When in doubt, just stop.
Last car in the pack, you know nobody's going to be behind you to run you over.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well just let it all settle out before you make your way through the smoke. So massive pile up there out of turn number 2. Our biggest wreck so far here tonight. Jeffrey Elliott and a few others going to stay out an extra lap here, it would appear. I believe Greg Palmer was the first one off of pit road, and I believe this puts us just on the number to be able to make it the rest of the way here. If we get the lights out, we'll be restarting with 18 laps to go. So that's just right within the fuel number to be able to make it the rest of the way. So we may be done with pit road for our leaders here tonight. Despite that fact, as they cross the line there, complete and utter silence as everybody's thrown in the clutch and shut off the engines here, just to save a little bit extra just in case.
projected, I'm hearing, is going back and forth between a half can and a splash.
Okay.
That's very close.
Yeah, they got to get it to splash and none to be safe. If you've got it fluctuating to a half can, you might not be able to make it. Surprisingly, with all the hard contact we saw in that wreck and multiple cars flipping, we've yet to have a driver retire out of the race from that incident. Latest retiree, as we documented, John Godfrey, who's joined by Bernie Mobs, Jason Scheck, and Graham McDonald. Everybody else that was collected up in that incident, they have returned to the racetrack, but jury is going to be out on how up to speed they're actually going to be. And one of the drivers that was involved is going to start on the outside of the front row in Bob Seminara. We saw that car up and over. He was struggling to get back on his wheels as he was up on his left side. See how up to speed he's actually going to be. I don't know if he had to have come to pit road here under this yellow. I don't know how he's gotten himself this far up here in the field after being involved in that wreck, but he has. As a couple of Chevrolet Camaros will be the front row. Jeffrey Elliott, first laps that he's led here tonight, is going to be the control car to get us back green flag racing. "36 drivers still running of our original 40, all on the lead lap. 18 to go. This time by as the green flag waves once again at Dega. And we're wrecking in the back. Caution's out again. Mark Paglia, Bobby Farrell, Mike Mangialardi.
What happened there?
Cy Jones, Kelly Causey. I have a theory of who it might have, not who, but what it might have been. They stacked up there at the front, all trying to anticipate the restart, and I think we may have had the aftershock effect, pun intended, as we look at the Ashok number 9, all the way back to the rear of the field, potentially. We also know that the 43 of Richard Martin was missing third gear, so maybe that might have been the issue.
What I was
Not
thinking.
sure.
Yep. Now the question also is going to be is, we're getting very close here. We're coming up at about 17 laps to go, which means we should be getting a restart about 15 laps to go.
Yeah, so now do you come down pit road, top off, or do you continue to save?
Right now you top off now. You should be good to go to the end. But now the question also remains is, that's a big stack up right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and that happens. It happens a lot on these super speedways, especially if somebody misses a shift or just doesn't grab a gear quick enough. I think that's the same thing. But still.
Also, as well, you're looking up ahead at the leader, trying to anticipate when they hit the start-finish line or when the green flag is going to fly for them, to be able to maybe kind of do what we saw here with Grant Wesley. I saw him jump up to the third lane. Question is, was that out of necessity to avoid the stack up in front of him? Let's watch left side of the screen.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if it was told or not. Zach says to tell you that the bump that we're seeing in turn 3 is from the EXC update.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Well, if that's the case, if he's willing to weigh in on another question, does the EXE also play a part into the handling of race cars? Because as Kyle alluded to, these cars look a little bit more unstable, a lot more movement out of them than we were used to seeing with the Aero 88 cars. Would the EXE play a part into that as well?
You guys will wait and find out.
Sixth caution of the night. Let's check in on our YouTube chat here. Al Sullivan saying Rodney is driving for his daughter. And Al's fantastic granddaughter finished 4 years at Arkansas. And tomorrow is her last year at Texas. So congratulations to her. Rodney doing a...
He says it's not a handling or driving thing. You are just physically seeing everyone's suspension travel.
Okay. Jason Sheck in our chat said that we've seen some Braun Breaker spears tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Who's Ben Carlito? Or Sami Zayn? No, I think Carlito's spear sell was best. Well, ISO Speeds was actually pretty good too.
Was that really a sell, though, on ISO Speed?
That's fair.
Braun did not hold anything back on that spear.
So we should get the lights out this next time by. One thing so far here tonight, we've only had to give out the lucky dog once. And that was to Mike Mangialardi, who lost a lap, believe serving a drive-through penalty under green flag conditions. Everybody else has been on the lead lap at the time that these cautions have flown. And if indeed we do get the lights out this time by, we will have the restart with 14 laps remaining.
I don't know. Is it time to get Milt's who you got?
Yeah, I think so. We're within that 10
to go.
15 lap range. So we're gonna do the who you got, Surratt. Who you got here, Milt? If I remember correctly, 2 seasons ago, Milt was it 3 for 5 in calling the race winner? He called Ken correctly. He called Grant correctly. Brian Schilling going to restart 6th on the outside of that 3rd row, and I believe it's in 3 weeks' time. The bracket challenge will begin once again and run till the end of the season. Brian Schilling, the defending champion of the bracket challenge from season 64. A number of these drivers, they've had some adventurous moments here in this race. Bob Seminara still up here in the 2nd position. We saw him up on his side a couple of cautions ago. Chuck McClure on the outside of row 2. We saw him spun around on the back straightaway. Didn't get a caution to save him until much later when he was in danger of going a lap down. Mentioned about Greg Palmer the first couple of laps. He was almost up into the wall. And I looked a little bit further back there. I believe restarting in the 13th position is Donnie Garrett in the 77. Another driver who had an excursion on the back straightaway, had pretty extensive left side door damage, and they have repaired that machine, and he's back up here in the top 15. Robert Breedlove right in front of him got spun from the race lead through the tri-oval, so there's a lot of comeback stories here closing in on 10 to go.
A lot of adversity tonight. And we're at the point of the race. If there's another caution, they race back.
Great point. 6th restart of the night. Jeffrey Elliott gets us back underway. Stacked up a little bit again there on this restart. Hopefully that doesn't... Oh, it does. Reverberates all the way back to the rear of the field, and we're wrecking once again.
I don't know how that happens.
I think it's the stack up on the restarts again. Everybody anticipating. Saw him stacking up those first 3, 4, 5 rows. And I get it that you're trying to time the restart to push your lane to be the first one to get the advantage through 1 and 2, but when you're that 3rd, 4th car, it stalls you out so much, and it's an accordion effect all the way back to the rear of the field. 2nd straight caution here for a wreck on the restart, and I think some drivers are forgetting, as you alluded to, Kyle, that it is race back. Some drivers might be thinking it's frozen field, but got to keep your foot in the throttle and come back to the start-finish line as Denny Carroll down there on the apron. Jeffrey Elliott did hold them all off to get back to the line. That 712 must be okay, because if he was off the pace after his flip, he would have free-fallen out of the top 5, and he held on for third coming around to this caution. So we've seen the 6 and now the 712 flip, but actually appear to still be up to speed. See if we can find where this stack-up began. Brian Rawson in the 6 might have been potentially the start of it. And again, while we're focused on him, watch the left side of the screen, all the drivers ahead of him, how they're all just going to start backing into each other's front grills. Oh, actually, no. 6 never was able to get going. Did he lose a gear?
'Tis possible.
Very well could have.
Might have lost second. Scoring is showing him in first gear here and never upshifting. Let's see if going inside the cockpit, if we can listen as he tries to shift up to second.
It was a gearing issue in the 6, I was just told.
There it is. Yep. Well, according to this onboard, we can't call Ulysses Sandoval. Apparently his name is Ulysses Front. That's the name on the banner. So caution out for the 7th time here tonight. Seen a little bit of everything here in this debut race for the new Xfinity mod. Number of mechanical failures. We've seen some massive wrecks. Seen some great saves as well. And we've still got 10 laps to run, maybe a little less when we eventually get back green. All right, Milt Surratt's going with 22 Greg Palmer to win this race. Going to restart on the outside of the front row here, will that number 22 Magnum Chevrolet. Brian Rawson has retired out of the race. So make that 5 drivers now in the garage area, along with John Godfrey, Bernie Mobbs, Jason Scheck, and Graham McDonald. Again, as well, a reminder, we do have that extra race in the regular season here that we didn't have back in season 64. So 8 races for the drivers that are not going to be coming away with the finishes they were looking for this evening to try and gain those points back or get themselves that victory. Top 12 in the point standings, regardless of if they've won or not, go playoff racing, and then any driver that is outside of the top 12 but inside of the top 20 with a victory get into a wild card spot. Last season we ended up having a total of 13 drivers that made it into the playoffs. Bob Dixon, I believe, was the former winner on the season that was outside of the top 12 in points, making the 13th seed.
I was just told that the 43 lost the engine and Martin is out of the race.
Tough break there for Demar, a former champion of the series. The last driver to win a championship here in the Tally Challenge by not winning a race Won it entirely on consistency throughout the season. And, well, never heard of it before, Kyle. It's happened twice now. Engine clutch the reason for the retiring of Richard Martin as well. So,
We were told that he lost.
Maybe that's just a mod thing.
Could be.
I mean, he lost third gear early in the race. I don't know if that played a part in
That would usually
what happened.
that would usually be a gearbox thing. All right, gonna have 10 laps to go in the restart. Can we stay green this time?
All cautions race back. We were discussing as well with the new EXE where admins are able to add or detract laps under pacing. What that point of no return potentially would be. We're figuring more than likely around 3 laps to go, which would be on lap 64. If we ended up having the caution lap 63, we could race back to the completion, have pit road open, have enough time for a green-white checkered, maybe a 1-lap shootout depending on circumstances. So the target lap now appears to have been shifted to around the completion of lap 63 onto 64 as Bob Dixon still having the connection woes down there on the apron. And Jeffrey Elliott gets ready to put us back under the green flag with Greg Palmer, Bob Seminara, and Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
The top 4.
We also have to remember what Zach told us too about this mod and this specific EXE is that once it hits 2 to go, you cannot add or subtract laps. So so 3 to go is actually the point of no return. I would even throw out there and say maybe 4 to go would technically be kind of like that. Jeffrey Elliott leading middle lane didn't go very far, and Randy's on the outside there, third lane, but the inside's going to have the most advantage right now.
Greg Palmer, Rodney Sullins by their lonesome in that middle line right now, going the wrong way. Top side there.
That middle line just died.
Now they're going to pick up some people in front of them, Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
And Brian Lovell jumping down there in front of him.
Look at the 712 backing off the 56 a little bit.
Is he backing off on purpose, or is that maybe some aero damage? Remember, he flipped over. He might be able to be one of those drivers that can run behind somebody if they have someone pushing, but don't have the power to draft up themselves.
Seminara moving to the outside.
Now we're going to see just exactly how much power that car has. Can he lead this outside line?
Not a lot, because the 17 went right by real fast. And that's going to hurt the 55.
Ken Roberts now boxed in.
Yep, I knew the 17 and the 4 were going to go. I saw it coming. Now the question is, can they get around and one of them clear? Because here comes Dante now on the inside with Donnie.
Big push there. From Dante to Jeffrey.
Oh, that's going to help the middle lane out a little bit.
But I believe that was Joe DeSpirito almost getting a little bit loose there off the...
Look, here comes Randy Waluigi on the outside, very outside.
Chuck McClure sees it, goes up to cover. Ooh.
Ooh, that could have been real bad.
Yes, it could have. Maybe a little bit of a late block there. They almost bumper grabbed, but look at the push it gave the 17. He'll be clear for the lead.
17, or the 21 was almost cleared to the inside.
Chuck McClure looking to go back to victory lane. Finished 6th in the championship standings last season. Correction, 7th.
Oh, boy.
Oh, we're getting squeezed into the wall there. Greg Palmer, Rodney Sullins, I think may have brushed the safer barrier just a tad past the start-finish line.
The aggression level.
When you don't really want to push somebody, you want to keep going.
The aggression level has definitely picked up here.
You think? We're 3 wide, 5 rows deep.
I mean, not just that, but I mean, no one's giving anybody an inch right now.
Top 5 going to get cleared single file. Shelton, the last of those, behind Garrett, Ricky, Elliott, and leader Chuck McClure. Randy Waugh.
Luigi.
Gets clear. Well, car coming to pit road there in
Elliott.
Jeffrey Elliott's.
Is he running out of gas, or did he get called for something?
Well, I'm looking right now. Jeffrey Elliott has only made 3 pit stops in this race, as opposed to others having made 4 and 5. He might have been one of the few drivers that couldn't make it on fuel. Still 3 wide around the 8th position. Brian Lovell, Brian Schilling in the middle, Grant Wesley on the bottom. Greg Palmer and Rodney Sullins trying to get that third line going. Jeremy Jeffrey stuck in the middle, no help. He's starting to fade back. Breedlove takes a look to the top. Despirito looked like he was going to go with him, then ducked to the bottom. Now Breedlove going to lead that middle groove. And keep an eye on our lap counter. We're on lap 62. Hovering around that potential point of no return.
Thought Despirito was going to jump up and yep, there he goes.
There he goes. Grant's going to go up there too. Do any of the top 4 see that coming and try and go up there as well? Whoa! Might have been some bumper grab there. Brian Lovell and Robert Breedlove. Lovell to the bottom.
I thought for sure Jess would have went up there, but I guess not.
Top 3 going to go up there. Ooh, man, Dante very loose there. Dante looks high. Donnie going to help him. Nothing Chuck can do to block it. Dante might be clear for the lead. Big shove from Shelton to McClure. That sends him into 3 back alongside of Garrett. Maybe to the left rear of Dante Ricky for the top spot. Third line trying to form back there as well.
There it goes, and that could help the inside lane drastically.
Coming around to complete lap 63. I believe now any flag will end the race.
Yep, now it is. That's it. Right now, this is the point
of no return. That's tight! Woo! I don't know how Joe fit in there.
I don't think he did.
McClure now with the race lead. Shelton into second. Stack him up 3 wide for third with Randy Wall on the bottom.
Luigi.
Dante Ricky in the middle. Donnie Garrett. Big push from Brian Schilling. He'll now go down to the middle line alongside of the 21 for third. Tries to go back up to the top. That'll stall out potentially the momentum of that third lane. Coming around to see 2 laps to go. Brian Lovell's moved into 4th. Josh Metallic into 5th. 2 laps remain, a little over 5 miles to decide the first winner of Season 65, the first winner of this new mod in the Tally Challenge.
And as of right now, the outside lanes are not a factor. It's down to just this inside lane for the moment.
Top 5, I believe, are single-filed, side-by-side for 6th.
Donnie Garrett trying to lead that middle groove, and then who was that on the very outside?
There's just not enough. With the third lane back there in the middle groove, that's not going to generate a lot of momentum.
Schilling leading that other line. But I think the bottom is where you want to be. If anybody going to jump to the outside, try to make a move here as they're coming up on the 26 car.
White flag. This is going to be it right here.
They will make it to the white. 2.66 miles to settle this thing out. Who makes a move of these top 5, top 6? Do you wait to the back straightaway? Do you wait till turn 4? There's no run generated back there from that second or third line. You're going to have to make it yourself. Metallic's going to jump up there. Picks up Sean Prime.
You don't want to make it too early. Top 4 breakaway.
Greg Lovell now moves into 5th. Got Lovell's lined up. Nose to tail in the 4th and 5th position. Do they try something here out of 4? Through the trioval. Here they go. Shelton goes to the top. McClure gonna cover. Blocking both lanes. Chuck gets a little bit of a bumper grab, but he'll hang on to it. And Chuck McClure is gonna bring it home with the first checkered flag of the season. Almost got spun out there through the exit of the trioval. Back end was all squirrely as he tried to cover Shelton on the top and Randy Wall on the bottom. And Chuck McClure locks himself up a spot in the playoffs here, winning the season opener. The former multi-time champion looking for, I believe, what would be his third championship in the series, and now he can breathe easy for the next 8 weeks.
And this is a guy who wrecked early
That's
in the race.
right.
And this race gave us a little bit of everything.
Chuck McClure is a former winner of the season opener. I believe it was 4 seasons ago. And with this victory, he will lock himself up a spot in the Season 65 Tally Challenge playoffs. He'll get to do the first burnouts of the season here with this new Xfinity mod. $69 1,000ths. The gap from first to third for our podium finishers here tonight, with Randy Waugh second, Jessica Shelton in third. We'll be dialing all 3 of our podium finishers up in our FRN post-race wind-down.
It's an impressive burnout.
It is. I think he's trying to use all the good out of those good years. Well, Chuck McClure parks it right on the start-finish line. And let's take a look at the finishing results from tonight's season opener. We gave you your top 3. Brian Lovell, Greg Lovell, going to bring it home in 4th and 5th. Jeremy Jeffries will finish in 6th. Josh Metallic, we saw him try to do something on that outside line down the back straightaway. He'll bring it home 7th. Sean Prime in 8th. Brian Schilling will finish in 9th. And Greg Palmer is going to complete the top 10. Tim Nofsker in 11th. Rodney Sullins in 12th. Denny Carroll was 13th. Donnie Garrett 14th. Grant Wesley will finish in 15th. With Robert Breedlove, Donnie Cameron, great run in his debut, 17th. Dante Ricky, Joe DeSpirito, and Ken Roberts, the completion of your top 20. Take a look further on down. Bobby Farrell, Cy Jones, Kelly Causey, Ulysses Sandoval. I believe they were all in their own pack. They were damaged and off the pace, hoping for maybe a massive wreck there in the closing stages to pick up some spots. We had a total of 31 drivers finish on the lead lap. 34 drivers reached the conclusion, and a half dozen drivers out of the race, some due to crash damage, some due to mechanical failures. Richard Martin, Brian Rawson, John Godfrey, Bernie Mobbs, Jason Scheck, and Graham McDonald. They will all look to rebound next week when we get to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. But that's going to bring...
Let's say when we do our interviews, Jessica Shelton is AFK right now. She said she would be back.
Okay, so we'll do a little leapfrog here. Take us into our FRN post-race wind-down and see if we can dial up the driver that brings it home tonight in the 2nd position. Let's get a hold of Randy Waugh.
User was moved to your channel.
Hey, Randy, Michael, Kyle, Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, dogfight here in the closing stages. It really came down to when to make the move, because we ended up getting to the white flag. A lot of momentum back there, but it was around the 7th, 8th, 9th position in the multi-groove race, and if you were going to make a run, you were going to have to make it on your own. How difficult was it, especially with the X Factor, the anomaly that you guys all had to deal with here tonight, this new mod here for the Tally Challenge, the Xfinity cars?
Well, this mod seems to suck up a lot better, but you also get a big run, and you got to get out of it a lot. There was a lot of checking up, especially on the bottom line, and it got to be a handful at times.
Yeah, we were talking about it. Kind of looked like, you know, there was maybe a little bit more movement out of these race cars here tonight than we're used to seeing in the past few seasons with the Aero 88s. Obviously, we talk about the period of adaptation, maybe kind of getting used to the hitbox as well. Was there a turning point here in this race that you were able to sense where drivers started to maybe feel a little bit more comfortable, or do you think that there was still a little bit of experimentation and trying to figure this thing out even towards the closing stages of this one?
Well, I'm not sure we all have it figured out yet. I mean, it's a lot different than Aero 88. The hitbox is different. Like I said, it closes up a lot faster. You can get a big run. And there's a few times I had a big run and I started to jump out of line and I thought, nah, I better not. And I did one time and I got stuck in the middle and went all the way back. And I said, that's not happening again. So anytime I saw that outside line coming, I jumped up there.
Well, we have seen multiple times during the course of the past seasons drivers that may not necessarily have the season they wanted one season be able to get it turned completely around the following season. Last season, you finished out 31st in the point standings, but here tonight, kicking it off with a solid runner-up finish. So, what does this do for the confidence level that maybe we'll be seeing this 21 potentially locking himself up a playoff spot and fighting for the championship here in season 65?
I'm going to do my best. Yeah, last year, man, I had like 3 or 4 DNFs in the first 5 races. I just couldn't get going. And then I had to miss a few races for wrestling tournaments for my grandson. So I never could get up there. But this year, I'm hoping I can run every race and stay up front. I'll normally get up front, but then I get pushed back for various reasons. Some of my choices that I make, some choices other people make.
Well, a great way to start off the season. Podium finish here tonight. Congratulations on the job. Well done, surviving some of the carnage we saw there in those final 15 or so laps. We'll let you now have the opportunity here, Randy, for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
All right, thanks, man. I want to thank you guys for televising this. This is always fun to share with my son and other family members. I want to shout out to Chuck for winning. Shout out to RTG for putting this on. They do a great job over here, and I love racing here. Shout out to my son Christian, my other son Corey, my grandsons Adrian, Asher, and Asa. And Corey, man, we got a second place. We got a podium again. I can't wait for you to see it. Let's go racing, Corey.
As Randy Waugh brings it home in the second position here tonight in the opener. Hopefully this is going to be a streak of good consistency for this 21 car, and maybe we'll get to talk to you again next week when you guys head to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. But for now, congratulations on the solid podium to kick off the season here, Randy.
Thanks a lot. And you guys have a good evening.
Absolutely. Randy Waugh,
User was moved out of your
second place
channel.
finisher here tonight. Do we have word on if Jess is back yet, Kyle?
Yes, she is.
Okay, so then let's dial up our third place finisher here this evening.
User was
Jessica
moved to
Shelton,
your
no
channel.
stranger to the commentators booth here. Jess, Michael, Kyle, Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
No.
I'll take that as a no then. All right, we're going to Chuck McLaurin victory. No, I'm kidding. Man, solid outing here tonight. In the conversation for that win, tried to time that jump there to the top side through the tri-oval. What little more did you need? Because it looked like a couple of drivers tried there from the back straightaway all the way out of turn 4 to try and get something going on that top side and just couldn't quite get the momentum. We talked just moments ago with Randy Waugh, and he said it felt like these cars suck up a little bit more. So does that help maybe in making that move, or was there something else that you needed to be able to at least draw alongside Chuck for the win?
Well, I kind of felt like if I had jumped to the high side, like that last lap a little earlier than where I did, that it wouldn't matter if I had 2 or 3 people behind me. I had a feeling that that whole bottom would just suck right back up the chuck. So I had to time the move right there at the tri-oval, and unfortunately Randy didn't go with me, but it is what it is. But that right there would have been the best opportunity to even attempt to get the win, let alone second. But I was pretty much comfortable riding around behind Chuck on the last 2 or 3 laps, because I felt if they had made the move on the high side on me to begin with to catch up to where I was, I felt like, well, they're going to go 3 wide, and that high side would just kill both sides momentum, that bottom will start going. So, and at the same time, if they go 3 wide, there's probably going to be a wreck, and where you want to be at with the wreck is on the bottom. So I tried to play it smart rather than try to be too aggressive with it.
Yeah, we talk about the adaptation you drivers have had to go through here in this season opener, not just with the mod, but also with the EXC. We saw during the course of this race with the yellows, them being able to negate some of the caution laps that we're used to seeing here in past seasons. And of course, that makes things interesting in terms of the end of the race as well, maybe kind of moves the needle in where that point of no return is. So with that being said, we obviously got to the white flag here tonight, so it was a non-factor. But going forward in other races, is that something that kind of is going to be in the back of your mind and other drivers when you're up there at the front of maybe I need to make this move a little bit sooner, or maybe I need to make it a little bit later, depending on how many laps are left, and the possibility, since we now have the opportunity to take some of those pacing laps away, we may have a chance to be able to go back green for a green-white checkered or a one-lap shootout?
Oh yeah, originally it was like what, 5 laps if we had lap cars or somewhat. Now it's going to be probably about maybe 3 laps or 2 laps left. I'm not really sure how the XE can actually cut. I don't know how much it cuts off, but yeah, now we got to really start focusing on like toward the end of the race. But it also comes into a bigger factor with fuel mileage, because if you're expecting to have 2 or 3 laps of pacing, and all of a sudden that's cut down, and then you got the idea of your actual stop. I mean, other people may, well, hey, I'm going to pit now. And then you're like, well, that sucks for you. And then all of a sudden you're 1 lap short because of the whole, oh, we're going green now. And, CTS physics, it just drains it. So you got to be really careful, not just for that caution to end the race and whatnot for the EXE, but also for fuel mileage.
That's a great point. I didn't even think of how that could have an impact in terms of fuel strategy. When we talked with Randy just moments ago, both he and you kind of struggled last season in the point standings. You end up finishing 28th.
But you really got to bring that up.
Well, no, but it leads into a question here in the fact of, a lot of the drivers, when we talk to them in these season openers, they have the kind of the must-win mentality with the fact that, if you end up getting that win, you're locked in the playoffs, great, but if you end up wrecking, well, you've got 8 more regular season races to be able to work your way either to victory lane or up into a points-paying playoff position. How important was it for you here tonight, based off of last season, to get a foothold here, get a nice springboard with a solid run to be able to propel you for the rest of this regular season in the hunt for a spot in the postseason?
I mean, yeah, everybody wants that spot in the postseason to get the win, to get automatically locked in. Everyone aims for that, and honestly, everyone's goal is that. But for me specifically, as much as I like being in the playoffs and getting that win locked in and whatnot, my mentality is different than everyone else's. I just want to have fun and finish in the top 10. If I can finish top 10, I consider it a really good night. Top 15, depending on how bad the night was to begin with. We know, like you said, you alluded to a moment ago, that I had a bad season last season. That's absolutely true. But I figure that if I can come out swinging at the top 15, top 10, I'll walk away happy. I mean, I just want to come out here and enjoy myself and see how competitive I can be, see where I stand throughout every single race and the end result. So my expectations are not way up there, but I set them to where I can actually know I can reach them and what I should be actually aiming for reasonably.
Well, a great way to start off season 65.
Seth,
Bringing it.
I want you to think about one thing.
What am I thinking about?
The Pepsi car did it again.
It did.
It actually had a good run. So now next week we know we're going to die because it's
don't
the
do
FRN.
it. Yeah, don't run the FRN car. Keep the Pepsi car.
I don't know. That Pepsi car treated Jeff Gordon pretty well back in 2005, so maybe you'll have his kind of luck.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
Talladega.
Jeff didn't have what was known as the FRN curse, though, either. Jess is gonna have to overcome that next week.
Wait. The only let's see, I got that All-Star segment too, winning the Open a while back, and that was in the FRN 94. But that was
that's the only time, I think, though, right?
Yeah, but I think the only one of us that actually has had any success was Nick, I think. I think Nick got a win in it, didn't he?
He did get a win in an FRN car. Yeah, you're right.
Well, I'm gonna stick around and talk to you afterwards, whenever you're done with this. But yeah, it was great. It was fun, and I want to thank everyone else too that was part of this. That this mod set, it's not exactly friendly to me right now. You know what I mean? I felt like it was bumpy all over the place and hard to hold. People were trying to have difficulty holding the line, half up, half down. But I appreciate everyone, being as patient as they were and how the race ended up playing out. So I was pretty happy with the patience that the drivers had at the end of this.
We'll be very interested to see how it all plays out here with this new mod when we get to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway next week as well. Drives entirely different to Talladega Super Speedway. Jess, congratulations on the podium finish here tonight. We'll give you now the opportunity for some thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Well, I want to say thank you to a few people. Even though they're not part of this league, I still want to thank Jeff Supta for everything that he's tried to help me through with RTG itself. Because if I didn't have him, I wouldn't have gotten a little bit better and more used to these weird settings on my wheel previous. So big shout out to him. It's a lot of people. So that's over the past 10 years that I like to think, but I can't do it all right now. But I thank you, Seth, not just for the FRN commentary, but for being one of my best friends, sticking up for me, and also painting my cars, letting me have fun doing this, coming out here and being able to be part of something with you guys specifically, let alone RTG. Sean Prime, big thanks to him, Josh Metallic, a lot of the guys, Chuck McClure, Brian Schilling, Randy Waugh, Rodney Solons, Kelly Causey, Bob Seminara, John Godfrey, Joe DeSpirito, especially something else I can't say right now. You know what that is. But Kyle, Michael, thanks for being up here. It'd be fun to see what happens when I go back to listen to how Kyle calls us, let alone with Michael. So I'm sure Michael wants me to go in the ditch every 2 seconds. Yeah.
No, yeah, Michael's the one that jumps in the ditch.
A big thanks to everyone, really.
Well, Jess, congratulations on the great start to the season. Hopefully we can see you carry this over into next week at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway.
I'm looking forward to it, and I will be off to the side waiting for you to wrap it up, okay?
Sounds good. Jessica Shelton, your third place finisher here tonight. And let's now go down to Victory Lane. Dial up tonight's race winner of the season opener, Chuck McClure. Chuck, it's Michael Kyle Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
How's it going, guys?
I'll tell you what, we'll get to the final laps here in a minute, but when you took the checkered flag, Kyle had to put the footnote out of, this was a guy that was spun out on the back straightaway at the beginning of this race. Where in the heck did he come from? You stuck it out, you were able to stay on the lead lap, you got that damage repaired, and that car was still as fast as ever.
Yeah, I thought it was over then. I hit the wall pretty hard with the back end, but evidently maybe it helped it a little bit. I don't know, but I had a lot of help from behind.
Able to work your way up through the field, got the lead when it mattered the most, and able to hold them off, but we could visibly see it wasn't easy. Even a little squirrely there out of the trial while trying to hold off both the outside and the inside lane. We've seen you in this situation before. We've seen you win the season opener before. Just how aggressive were you willing to be here to make sure you got that win? Because now you're locked into the playoffs. You're able to just make sure you stay up there in the top 20 in points for the remainder of this regular season.
Yeah, it's been a couple seasons since I've been lucky enough to win one. I've been in contention, but it just never works out. But yeah, I'm glad to get that out of the way early.
So what does this do here for the rest of the regular season? Now, does it free you up to maybe be a little bit more aggressive? Because last season we saw you advance your way into the playoffs through a victory, but it was your only victory of the season. Opportunity now, especially the fact we've got an extra week added onto the regular season now, 9 as opposed to the 8 we had back in season 64, to maybe rack up some more of those playoff points through wins, of course, as well. Keep yourself there at the top of the point standings for the regular season championship.
Yeah, I'd certainly like to win a few more. But kind of, I guess, cautiously aggressive I need to be. I can take a few more chances now than I could before, but again, this is a big relief.
Saw a number of drivers have to kind of mount some comebacks here tonight, have to work their way up through the field. I remember back to when we had the first race with the Aero 88 cars, and it seemed like just about everybody that we talked to said that it was more of a feeling out process they felt in the first race than anything. But here tonight, we obviously saw the feeling out process at the beginning of the race, but at the end of the race, everybody was moving, everybody was pushing, shoving, blocking. Have we reached a comfort level, do you think, with this mod, or was everybody just feeling, let's test the limits and see what happens here. Let's do some experimentation. What happens when we go 110% in preparation for when we come back here to Talladega in a couple weeks?
I think there was a lot of guys still feeling it out, but honestly, I didn't like the Aero 88 cars. They just didn't feel right to me. They were old looking, but I love these cars, and I think you'll find a lot of other guys love them too.
Well, it definitely put on quite a show here tonight. Chuck, congratulations on being able to mount the comeback after the early spin, park this thing in victory lane. You're locked into the playoffs now, winning tonight's season opener and winning the first race of this Xfinity mod here in the Talladega Challenge Series. We'll let you get back to your celebrating here in a minute, but we're going to give the opportunity for some victory lane thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Well, first off, I want to appreciate you guys thank you guys for putting these races on. They're awesome to watch. Rodney for painting up that beautiful Jack Daniels car. I was amazed, and I had to run it hard just to show him that I deserve to drive it. I got a lot of family and friends watching, people I work with at Marshall County Schools. The admins here, they do a top-notch job, and the new website is second to none. It's awesome.
Chuck McClure, he parks it in victory lane here tonight in the season opener at Talladega Superspeedway. Congratulations on the run. Best of luck here the remainder of the regular season. Continuing next week at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway.
Appreciate it, Seth. Thanks.
Chuck McClure, your
User
winner
was moved
here
out of your
tonight.
channel.
We now know he'll be at least one of a minimum of 12 drivers that will fight for the championship at the end of this regular season. And mention about the fact that Chuck last season ended up having only one victory, and we ended up having a few drivers go to victory lane multiple times. But you look at the parity up here in the finishing results of this one, and we mentioned about Randy Waugh, Jessica Shelton, the struggles that they had last season. You've got Brian and Greg Lovell up here. Sean Prime in his first full-time season return, finishing in the 8th position. I remember a couple of seasons ago, we ended up having, I think it might have been 8, but I think it was 9 regular season races, and we had 9 different drivers go to victory lane. Do you think that the addition of this new mod now, and drivers, as we heard there with Chuck McClure, maybe still in a feeling out process, does that maybe bring in a sense of parity where we're going to see multiple different drivers go to victory lane during the course of the regular season here?
I definitely think so. I mean, everybody's dealing with the same thing. Everyone's dealing with the same unknown of these cars at the start of the season. So, that's everything that they had with the Aero 88 mod. Just throw that out the window. So, yeah, I definitely think we will see more parity.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, and I'm looking forward to it too. I always love when we start a season off with a new mod. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season is going to turn out.
And I'm going to throw something out here, too. We had a little bit of everything for these drivers have to deal with here tonight. One thing we didn't see, maybe a little precursor for next week, green flag pit stops. How much different is it going to be making green flag pit stops with the Xfinity cars than it was with the Aero 88 cars? Is there going to be a difference? I don't know. We may end up finding out next week. But thank you all for tuning into our coverage here tonight of the season opener of season 65 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. Chuck McClure is your winner this evening. He locks himself up a spot in this season's playoffs. Question is, who else will join him? We will find out as we continue on the season next Thursday night under the lights at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Green flag will fly at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, we've got more on tap next week as well. Monday night, myself, Sean Prime, going to be bringing you coverage of the second race of the season for the Bare Bones Racing Series under the RTG banner. They'll be at the short track of North Wilkesboro. And then on Wednesday night, myself and Scott Rankin covered the Esports Oval League's Grind Cup Series at the Track 2 Tough to Tame Throwback Night at Darlington. Lot going to be happening next week. We appreciate you all tuning into our coverage here tonight. We'll see you guys next week. For Michael Norman, Kyle Matthews, I'm Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoy